Hello everybody, and welcome to Ancient Architects. Please subscribe now to get the latest ancient history news and independent research from around the world. ScienceMag.org published a fascinating article on an ancient Egyptian board game that was popular in all tiers of society from 5,000 to 2,500 years ago, and experts and the media are calling it the Game of Death. This article is the basis for this video, and I've linked it below in the description. It's not quite Monopoly or Mousetrap.
Gee, it's the craziest trap you'll ever see. I knew you were a winner!
But the game, called Senet, was enjoyed by the Egyptians for thousands of years, and experts have analysed just how the game has evolved through time, because thankfully, the board game and its pieces have survived in the archaeological record. Many examples are now seen in museums around the world. We only have snippets of ancient text and a few paintings that show the game being played, and Egyptologists believe it was played by two players, each with 5 pawns that were placed on a grid of 30 squares which are arranged in 3 rows of 10. Each player would take it in turn to throw a gaming dice to decide how many squares to move one of the pawns in each turn. Experts believe that the pawns travelled right along the upper row, then left along the middle row, and right again on the lower row until you reach the finish square, which is located in the bottom right hand corner of the board. So, it's a bit like Snakes and Ladders, but without the snakes or the ladders. But squares 26 to 29 did contain symbols like modern board games. They may have meant something like miss a turn or go back a number of squares. The player to get all 5 pawns to the end, overcoming the hurdles of squares 26 to 29, was considered the winner. It seems that this game was originally just a form of entertainment, just like a modern board game. But around 4,300 years ago, art in Egyptian tombs began to depict the deceased playing Senet against living relatives or friends. Although this could just be celebrating the things that person liked to do in life, texts from the time suggest the game had begun to be seen as a way in which the dead and the living could communicate with one another. So, was it more like a Ouija board than Snakes and Ladders? The game continued to evolve through the next millennium, and it is thought that the movement of the pawns was seen to reflect the soul's movement through the Egyptian underworld, the Duat. Around 3,300 years ago, the game board itself had changed. On square 28 of the early Senet boards, there were 3 vertical lines, which evolved into 3 hieroglyphic birds that were used to symbolise the soul. The game stayed in fashion for another 800 years before it gradually faded away from society. There is a Senet board in the Rosicrucian Egyptian Museum that shows an early phase of the redesign. On square 27 on early boards, the square contained an X, but afterwards it carried a hieroglyphic sign for water. Archaeologists think that this may symbolise a lake or river that the soul encountered on its journey through the underworld. This specific board is the subject of a new paper in the Journal of Egyptian Archaeology. This board also has a reverse layout, with the start square being on the bottom, the position where the finishing square is in earlier versions. This seems to be a unique style from the Middle Kingdom of Egyptian history. This board is thought to be 3,500 years old, a little after the Middle Kingdom. The Rosicrucian board is rare, because it seems to document the game changing from being a secular to a religious activity, and the redesign meant that the game came to be known as the original Game of Death. You can buy modern Senet sets on the internet, and there are also tutorials showing how you can play on YouTube. Well, I know what I'll be doing tomorrow. Thank you very much for watching this episode of Ancient Architects. If you enjoyed the video, please subscribe to the channel, please like the video, and please leave a comment below. Thank you very much.